This is Binghamton Now on News Radio 1290 WNBF Binghamton and WNBF.com.
Morning, this is Bob Joseph, ready to roll on the Wednesday edition of WNBF's Binghamton Now. WNBF! And let's get going. 607-772-1290. The lines may be open until noon. Congratulations, you're caller number one. What's your first name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Bob. I got to get to work. I wanted to call you before I left. It's Dave from Vestal. Bob, hey, I was wrong. Trump never even got a chance to get with Zelensky. He's like a new kid. He's like a little kid with new toys. He fired them off right away. I see 8 of them went over there. 8.
What does Monica Lewinsky have to do with this?
Monica Lewinsky?
Oh, I thought you said Lewinsky. What?
No, Zelensky.
Oh, Zelensky. I was thinking there is absolutely no reason to bring her name into this at the moment.
No, Zelensky. He like I said, a little kid with new toys. He had to play with them right away. Surprised. I really am surprised at that. But hey, Bob, the main reason why I called, I keep hearing now. I see L.A. They voted to make their city a sanctuary city because Trump's, when he comes in, he's going to do this mass deportation. Bob, I am tired of the Democrats constantly pretending that they care about people. What they care about is numbers and numbers only. And we all know they padded all these blue cities, blue states with all these millions coming across the border. And we know why, because when you do the census, and I think it's coming up, 2030? They do it every 10 years, I believe.
I don't think they're going to do a census anymore. I bet they're doing away with the census. That's just one of the big changes when the swamp is being changed. Remember, the swamp won't be drained. The swamp will be changed. It'll be a new, improved swamp, swampier than ever. We'll call it Swamp 2.0. But who's to say that there still be a census bureau after January 20th?
Yeah, you're right. Good point. It could happen. And you know what? But they need, Biden giveth, Trump taketh away. Get all these areas, concentrate in these areas. All they care about is more representatives. I say thin them out, get rid of them, and that's the end of that. They're thinking down the road, Bob. Elections, and the more representatives, the more bills that come before the floor. You got more Dems in there. We'll be living wokeism all over again. Right? Right.
Wrong. Wrong, Dave-O.
No.
Living wokeism. We've never lived wokeism. This country...
We didn't?
This country has never had wokeism as its mantra.
Why do you think Trump won, Bob? That was one of the reasons right there. People got tired of their crazy antics, Bob. No, there are a small number of people, like I said, liberal progressives. There are a small number. They think they're big, but they're very small amount of people in this country. And we're just never going to live the way they want us to, Bob. We will fight back every time, and we proved it.
All right. Well,
but that is
enjoy your job. Have a great day at the job.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
914 WNBF. We have a lot of working class listeners. We have to get to the job. 607-772-1290. That's your Binghamton Now number. And as far as the wackiness, as they used to say on WBTO, baby, you ain't seen nothing yet. So if you think the things that have happened over the past 2 weeks are in any way wacky, unpredictable, and even weird, wait till 2 months, 61 days, when American fun will get underway. 4 years of fun and frolic. And October surprises at least 3 or 4 times a day on Twitter. So make sure you sign up for Twitter or some other reputable social media platform and enjoy. You gotta be prepared. Better have a ringside seat for the nonstop wackiness. This is the what we've seen so far. This is the pregame. What has transpired over the last 14 days? Simply the pregame. First quarter begins January 20th, and WNBF will be there to cover every twist, every turn, every surprise, every shocker. We're here for you. And, of course, Dan Bongino will be here for you, along with Sean Hannity and Mark Levin. They're all here for you, America. So enjoy. And as they say, buckle up. Buckle up. We're going to be in for a little bit of a rough ride. What else is going on? Oh, WNBF.com, one of the fine websites you hear about. We encourage you to check it out because WNBF.com offers you insightful local reporting. WNBF.com. Check it 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day for local news, original local reporting. It's 9:16. Good morning, WNBF. Your caller number 2. Congratulations. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Bob. It's Gary on the west side. I do check WNBF pretty frequently for local news. I'd like to discuss one of the articles, actually, because I'm just an average Joe. I can't figure things out sometimes for myself. So Broome County says that the golf course needs an irrigation system, which is going to cost $8 million estimated. And if they don't get it done, it might hinder them having future senior tournaments, golf tournaments at Dick's Open and stuff. So I'm wondering, excuse me, if they're in such dire need of it, why? And, you know, they had PGA Tour events there. Now they've had senior tour events. I don't know. It's got to be at least, 25, 30. It's probably 40 years they've had it. It's never been a problem. When did this change that the PGA Tour now demands or wants more coverage, I guess, over the golf course? Because it only covers 40%. Bob, I play there like every summer, and it's green to me. I don't see brown spots, so I don't know what they're talking about.
Well, so apparently the irrigation system covers less than half of the golf course, and so that means workers at the golf course apparently have to do more work. I don't know how. I don't know how.
They got a self-water with hoses. Probably.
Yeah. Well, by the way, the numbers that were mentioned in the news conference with Jason Garner and the person in charge of Enjoy Golf Course, the numbers of about how much water is used, I know I shouldn't be surprised, but still, the numbers are astonishing. That's a lot of water.
Golf courses, they drink it up, man.
Yeah, so good thing we're not in the middle of a drought, or else people would be concerned about the use of so much water for
I don't think they're watering the golf course right now. I don't think so.
Well, they're not right now because I think the golf course is closing today. So anyway, they're closing for the season.
Endicott still says there's another report to come out. I think that's why they are waiting.
Right.
Is Broome County trying to take it away from Endicott? Is that what's happening?
Well, that's how some people view it. Some people would view it as saying the county is actually coming to the aid of Endicott because, say, the irrigation system work is going to cost several $1 million, and we don't know if it would be $8 million, $6 million, $10 million. The $8 million mentioned in the county commissioned report is only an estimate, so it could.
That means higher.
Well, probably. When in the history of human endeavors has a major project come in under budget? Just ask the state DOT or or OGS or anybody else, or anybody, you're building something for yourself, a home or a business, it doesn't come in under cost. I'm not saying it never has. It seldom does. So if they estimate $8 million, I'd say be prepared for $10 million. Here's something that's interesting, and maybe it's apropos of nothing. Of course, the golf tournament is called the Dick's Sporting Goods Open. And for the fiscal year of 2023, the gross profit of Dick's Sporting Goods, which was founded right here in Broome County, not far from the golf course, the gross profit of Dick's Sporting Goods for the most recent fiscal year was more than $4.5 billion.
Yeah, but Bob, also they pay their rights to have that name, the Dick's Sporting Goods Open, right? So who gets that money? Where did that money go? This seems like it's a very important thing to do to keep it running. Why wasn't it spent on irrigation? Those are some questions.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know. I think who asks these questions?
I think here's who should come in to talk about this. Of course, the county executive.
He does.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about having everybody just to do an hour about the golf course, since it's a lot of money and something that trust me, nobody wants to see anything happen to the golf tournament. We need it to stay here forever. So I say this is such an important issue. WNBF's Binghamton Now will proudly devote a full hour to the issue if we can get the county executive, the Endicott mayor, the person, Sully, who runs the golf course, Richard Stack from Dick's Sporting Goods.
That makes it impossible right there, that last one.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Well, that's why I'm setting it up. No, that's why I'm setting it up this way. So then there's no chance in no chance in Halstead that this is going to happen. But you have to admit, for Broome County residents and Endicott residents, that would be ideal. Not only to have all those four people that I mentioned, and Governor Hochul, just to make doubly sure, triply sure that this can't happen. But wouldn't it be fine if we had the guy who, he's not technically the CEO of Dick's Sporting Goods anymore. He's now, he's still, let's face it, if Richard Stack wants something at Dick's Sporting Goods, they'll let him have it. But I believe the CEO, I can't remember who she is now, but I don't think he's overseeing day-to-day operations, which means, by the way, Gary, he has even more time to come up to Binghamton to be on a fine radio program to talk about the tournament that we all love so much.
Yeah.
That frees up a lot of his time when he was busy running the enormously successful Dick's Sporting Goods that was founded right here on Binghamton's east side, just 3.1 miles from where I'm standing. He was really, really busy. And he still is busy, but now I bet he has more time to do radio talk show appearances and answer questions from listeners like you.
I'd love to have him on.
Wouldn't it be a great...
about the fluoride?
Oh, yes. Let's talk about fluoride in the water.
Well, just a quick thing here, because I don't want to get on the fluoride thing, but that's a concern for health, and it affects our children, this, that, or the other thing. How come they're not concerned about the PCBs in the water, the plastics in the water? It's documented that it's over the recommended level of the EPA. It's documented that. And how come nobody's worried about that? Right? They're worried about fluoride, but they're not worried about plastics in your water that are over
microplastics. Microplastics.
They're not worried about that?
Yes, we are.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying the people that are concerned about the fluoride. How come it's not if you're concerned about stuff that's in the water?
But one of the points about here's one of the key differences. You're right. Our water is tainted with a little bit of everything. Guaranteed. Mm-hmm. But the only difference is between those things and fluoride is they're intentionally There are people right now over on Broome Street on the south side who are intentionally adding this chemical into our water supply. All the things you mentioned are there, and for the moment, they're beyond our control. It would cost millions or billions of dollars to remove microplastics and other chemicals that show up in water testing. The difference between them and fluoride is there is a guy or a couple of guys who have to wear protective clothing when they load the dangerous chemical, the fluoride, to add to your water. So it's being done intentionally. And the big question is, should the government be adding a drug? Fluoride's a drug. Look on your tube of toothpaste. The reason there is a warning.
It's not a drug. It's not a drug. It's a
chemical. But
no, it's not even a chemical. It's something else, Bob. Oh, I wish I can't think of the term right now, but it's neither of those two. Like, go ahead, type in fluoride, and it'll tell you what it is.
Fluoride dental products are effective in preventing cavities. They are regulated. This is the key point. They are regulated as drugs by the FDA. They are regulated as drugs by the Food and Drug Administration.
Doesn't mean they're drugs.
This is according. Well, so you're quibbling. Yeah, maybe it's not a drug. They're regulated as drugs. That's why there's a warning label on your toothpaste. That's why it says if you ingest too much toothpaste, you'd better call the Poison Control Center before you get sick.
So, like maybe about if you ate 5 tubes.
Yeah, I know that. I get well. Okay, now you're behaving like someone else. So I can't. Okay, I can't work with you on this. Thank you.
I got it.
Can't work with you anymore.
Okay.
Thanks,
all right, Bob.
No, that's okay.
Sometimes I guess I don't ask the right questions.
No, you asked the right questions. You just didn't want to hear my answer. I'm giving you the information.
All right, I'm ready.
Bye-bye.
Go ahead. So it's a drug.
It's regulated as a drug. I am not a fluoride expert. You wanted to know. You were trying to make a comparison of why, or ask the question why people aren't concerned about other bad things in our water. We are.
That was the original question.
The other bad things in the water are there, not because there's a guy over on Broome Street.
Putting it in the water.
They're doing it intentionally, and they've been doing it, Gary, intentionally since February 1964. So Binghamton has been the leader in Broome County in putting fluoride, adding a chemical which is regulated as a drug by the FDA, and they've been doing it now for 60-plus years. Now, I'm not making
Good, so they should have plenty of statistics as to whether this drug is affecting our children negatively or positively, where, like, the tooth decay has gone down, right? Are they talking about that at all? Have they said the statistics about tooth decay going down? I believe that's why they put it in the water.
Yeah, well, some people are saying if you want to protect your teeth or the teeth of your children, use a topical application of fluoride, similar to what Governor Hochul approved last Friday, to have more opportunities for children to have their teeth treated with fluoride other than drinking it in the water. And maybe that's the best way. What if people really don't want to involuntarily ingest fluoride? Because even the water you probably buy at the supermarket, in most cases, probably contains at least some fluoride, because those bottled water companies almost always are getting their water from public water supplies. So,
didn't we do this originally because poor children, poor families couldn't afford fluoride, maybe fluoride toothpaste? So I guess we'll be giving free toothpaste out again then, if that's the case, which isn't a bad thing. If we take it out of the water, okay, as long as they get their fluoride somehow, right? Isn't that the bottom line there?
Well, yeah.
Children get fluoride somehow, if it helps prevent.
And if the parents want it. If the parents want to give their children fluoride.
Now you got another can of oranges.
I know. I did that intentionally. I did it intentionally. Okay. Nothing is left to chance on this show.
There's no such thing as coincidence on the Bob Joseph show.
No. Okay. This is America's favorite Bobcast. You're listening to it live right now as the wackiness unfolds. I mean, everybody should think about the issue, not just how we got here on November 20th, 2024, where people are intentionally adding a chemical to the water. And I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm saying they're intentionally doing it, and it's completely different than some of the other chemicals that show up in the water testing, because those chemicals are there because they're in the Susquehanna River. Binghamton gets it.
You are correct there.
Yeah, Binghamton,
it's still in our drinking water.
Well, Binghamton gets most of its water from the Susquehanna River, which is interesting because, it's delicious, and it's too bad it's running so low, because at some point we're going to have to switch over to Gatorade or Moxie. But, you also, if you look at the history, sometime if you have a few hours, look at the history of fluoride in U.S. water and pay attention to how it happened in the first place.
Oh, okay. I didn't. I thought it was because children could not, families could not afford the fluoride toothpaste, and that's why they put it in. So you're probably going to say it's different. I'll have to look that up.
It's complicated.
Hey, Bob, don't we have a reservoir in Whitney Point if we need water? I mean, right?
Yeah, but it's not drinking water, and Binghamton can't access the water from Whitney Point. Binghamton is in big trouble.
So what is that water for there then? That Whitney Point reservoir?
It's a flood protection.
Oh, it's just a protection thing. It's not for drinking water at all.
It's put in by the Army Corps of Engineers. No, there's no water. To my knowledge, there's no water supply that's being fed by the reservoir. Well, it goes down a river,
right? So I guess if we needed to, we could let some out, and then it could go in the Susquehanna, because that's eventually where it would end up, and then we could.
Well, with that water from Whitney Point, eventually.
That would not be a good thing. That would be a bad day in Broome County. But
what I'm saying is, we have big water problems, and fluoride isn't the only issue. We have across Broome County and Tioga County, we have some very serious water issues, and for the most part, those issues are underreported because it's not an issue that's going to get much attention. If we did stories about water issues, people would be like, yeah, I don't really care. I don't really care. I have enough water. The water is still flowing from my tap. If I don't like the taste of the water, I'll go to the store and buy some water that doesn't have any funny taste. Most people don't even care. So so the media, the liberal,
things we got to worry about.
Don't worry. Well, here's another thing.
I do worry.
Don't worry. Don't.
It doesn't solve anything.
Well, that's my point. Don't worry. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride.
I am enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying the ride.
Yeah. Whether you drink water from the Binghamton Public Water Supply or
Which
whether...
I do.
Yeah, and I do too.
Every day.
I do most days too. So if you drink water from the Binghamton Public Water Supply, don't worry. It's not good. It won't kill you. There are a lot of other things to worry about, including the future of AM radio and the future of jobs in the local media industry. If you want something to worry about that.
Yeah, that's another thing to worry about.
Yeah, that's an actual worry. The media jobs in radio, TV, and newspapers, those are things that are going to have a far more profound effect on your daily life than what, if anything, is in your water.
I agree, because we depend on you when there's an emergency. What's the first thing I do is turn the radio on.
Well, in the future,
I have an emergency radio.
Right. In the future, the first thing you can do when there's an emergency is go to Facebook.
Right, because the Wi-Fi's will be down. Remember when we were kids, Bob, they put us under the desks? That's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to, get under the desk.
Duck and cover.
All right, man. Thanks.
Thanks. It's 9:33. Talking about water. WH2O. No, it's WNBF. Bob Joseph, more calls coming up. On your Wednesday morning, 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, streaming at WNBF.com. Binghamton Now, serving America and the entire globe from a beautiful high-tech radio studio somewhere in your imagination. It's 9:37. Let's go back to the phones. Beverly from the town of Dickinson. Good morning.
Good morning, Bob. I want to talk about Ukraine. Where are they getting these missiles from to attack Russia?
From us, U.S.
Geez, Bob, I've been praying every day. There ain't no third war.
Well, too late now. Too late now. They're getting the missiles from us, U.S. You paid for them, so your tax dollars are being used to really increase tensions between Ukraine and Russia at the moment.
Yeah, so I think it's getting a little harder now.
Like I say, it's too late.
Yeah.
Too late now. Too late to turn back now.
Yeah, well, they've been fighting for 3 years now, you know. You think that they would give up, you know. I mean, Russia would give up, but see, they were free for many years, and then all of a sudden Russia wanted them back.
Well, the good news is these advanced military rockets are made by our friends at Lockheed Martin. So Lockheed Martin is important to our economy, including right here in Broome and Tioga County. So this is actually beneficial because Lockheed Martin makes they call them ATACMS. I think it's a cute name. It sounds like some sort of candy from M&M Mars. You know, I wish they would stop doing it because it makes it sound like it's cute when in fact these missiles are designed to kill people. ATACMS, new from M&M Mars. They melt on your land, not in the air. ATACMS.
Yeah, did you see where there's more solars? Those more solars coming up?
Yeah, they're going to be putting in more solar. Do you like solar farms?
What's their problem that they have to have so many?
Because we need more electricity. You would not want to live in a world without power.
I didn't realize that.
That's how our electricity is getting made.
Oh, yeah,
along with the wind farms and everything else, we need what we need for America: more solar, more wind, and more nuclear to power all of our devices.
Yeah, well, they say that the town of Dickinson has quite a few of them.
Well, they've all been approved. Everybody loves them.
Yeah, well, eventually we won't have to purchase them for our homes, will we?
Oh, you can. You might want to. It might be cheaper that way. If you don't have to pay NYSEG for your electricity, if you were able to get a solar installation strapped on your house, and then you don't have to pay NYSEG, you could get off that grid. You could save yourself lots of money, and then you could go over to McDonald's and buy one of those half-pounders.
Oh, I stay away from McDonald's because if you go to Wendy's tells you how many calories is in this and how many calories in that, you know, and I like that.
McDonald's does too. They have to. They don't do. Wendy's does it, and McDonald's they all have to because that's the law.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
I'm going to go and get a half-pounder with triple onions.
Oh boy, I'd put my own onions on.
No, I want the official onions that come with the half-pounders.
Yeah, there's some people that are still in the hospital from that listeria.
Yeah, but that wasn't because of McDonald's. That was because of the company that supplied the onions.
Yeah.
So don't blame McDonald's. They if anybody, I mean, obviously people got sick, and it's unfortunate anybody was ill. But remember, McDonald's just depends on a company to be a supplier. You can't, that'd be like saying, oh, people got sick because of something in the rolls, and it turns out the roll supplier was a bakery in Broome County. You can't blame McDonald's for that.
Have you heard anything about the Spot restaurant?
No.
I'm still sitting there.
I know. That'd be a perfect. I know, but it'd be a perfect place for a Chick-fil-A.
Oh, I
Can you imagine a Chick-fil-A? They have the Tesla superchargers already there, so people could supercharge.
Try that coffee place up the road here. They were giving free coffee out.
I heard. It's.
How much is it a cup?
I don't know. I don't think it's that much. I think it's very economical.
Yeah, well, they have a lot of people up there, and they had the sheriff's department directing traffic because there's so many people there.
Well, that shows people. What people love is something new. Remember when the Sonic restaurant opened?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was like a madhouse.
Oh yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, I just thought I'd call and ask.
All right. Yeah, okay, everything is fine. Yep, everything is fine. More solar, more wind, more nuclear. Those are the key elements for America's energy future. For those of us who need power. 607-772-1290. WNBF is here for you. I'm Bob Joseph. I report to work for this program every day, Monday through Friday, from 9 to noon. Don't worry, even today, before I came in, I stopped at 2 places, asking a few questions, taking a few pictures, and notes. Never forget the notes, because there really is a lot going on. I love taking the notes. And then asking a few more questions. And then when I'm done with the program, I'll head out of here at 12:15 this afternoon, and I'll take more notes, ask more questions, and continue to report for you on the air and online. This is WNBF. It's 9:48 at WNBF with Binghamton Now. Mike in the First Ward. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. It's been a while. Hope you have been doing well.
Everything is well. All is well.
The reason I'm calling is the cluster bomb of a merger with Guthrie with Lords. I've never been more disappointed in not the Lords people, but the Guthrie. I had the same doctor over there for 17 years. And when I would call, if I had a sore throat or something, they'd squeeze me in. I wanted to see my doctor in the next week or two. I can't get until Christmas Eve at 12:30. And that is because of the new rollout and merger with Guthrie. As was explained to me, there's still growing pains. What happens if there was an urgency? And the woman said, well, you could go to a walk-in. I can't see my doctor till Christmas Eve.
Well, that's pretty amazing.
Yes, with no apology about it. Yeah, I was just told, oh, you can always go to a walk-in. And we'll put you on a list if there is any cancellations. And I told her, I said, I travel. I travel about 6,000 miles a month. And I leave Monday and I don't get home till Thursday night or Friday morning. Okay, we'll still put you on the list. I'm so disappointed in this.
Well, it's disappointing, yes, but given overall trends, apart from this specific merger in Binghamton, given overall medical trends, nothing surprises me. I've seen over the last couple of decades, I've seen no evidence that any part of our wonderful healthcare system is generally getting better. They talk a lot about things getting better, and they promise the world, switch over your medical records to e-records. Oh, yeah, so they can either be taken over by people who have no business about seeing your medical records, or so they can be lost when a system gets taken down, as we saw with Ascension early this year. Yeah, great work. You know, everybody became very dependent on electronic records. Everybody thought, oh, that's the wave of the future. I've been skeptical from the beginning. Everything regarding the transfer of records and billing and not just healthcare, but utilities, and every company in the world has done virtually everything possible, I'd say, to bribe us to switch over to these newfangled systems. Yeah, I love newfangled technology when it works, but when it doesn't work or when bad actors get involved, I mean, how many times a year do most Americans get notices that their private information's been compromised? Now, it barely...
I kept track with 13 times this year.
Yeah, so now it barely becomes a news story. It's more like, yep, who did it this time? And, oh, we're going to provide you with a year of complimentary protection or credit monitoring. I don't want credit monitoring. I want you people, whether it's the financial institutions or other businesses, I want you to protect my information as if it was your own. And by the time that they're getting in the news where they finally grudgingly admit there's a problem, sometimes days, weeks, or even months have gone by before they finally have to go public because their efforts to conceal the information are unsuccessful.
Let me give you a specific. You know, I told you I travel. Through my own fault, I saw that my prescription ran out. And normally my doctor we'd do a teleconference. She'd call it in, or we would talk, and she said, okay, it'll be in, your wife can go pick it up tomorrow. They don't do that now anymore at Guthrie/Lords. And I want to scream at them if well, we really needed this. She really needs to see you. No, she knows what my lifestyle is. So they would not do this. And then I can't see her. So the medicine that I need, I'm going to be out tomorrow, okay? I'll cut everything in half. I'll cut the dosage in half, which I shouldn't have to, which will get me through Thanksgiving. But I've got to wait now till Christmas Eve to get the medicine that I need, because they won't, number one, they won't give me just an extension or give me the medicine that I need till I can see her. They won't do that anymore. They used to. If I wanted Oxy, they would give it to me in wheelbarrows. They don't give out antibiotics anymore. I'm so fed up. I need the medicine, but I can't get it. Can you believe that?
Yes, I 100% believe it. And that's not the word. I've heard so many bad stories, not specifically about one hospital around here. I've heard horror stories about almost every institution. I mean, they run the gamut, and it's one of those things where you say to yourself, wait, it's 2024 and we can't do better than this? And everybody tells me, no, we can't do better than this. And don't think for a moment that anything is going to improve. If anything, it's likely to get worse because there's such a focus on what they say, cost containment. But,
yep,
you know, isn't it funny that these institutions and companies that talk so much about cost containment, it's all happening at a time that, so what we see is reduced service, reduced accessibility, and more frustration, while our bills continue to rise. Our medical our health insurance continues to escalate. It's one of those things. We're getting so much less and paying so much more every day.
And the lack of the medicine that I need, I'm going to go without it for a month, okay? Even if I cut it in half, I could probably go buy something. You can buy anything on the street now, but you don't know what it gets. And when I explained this to them, it was like, whoops, you can't do it till you see her. Well, we don't do that anymore. You like that? I need this medicine, but they won't do it until I see her on Christmas Eve.
Unbelievable.
Thanks, Bud. I hope other people listen to this, because this cluster bomb of Guthrie taking over, they don't care anymore. My wife went in for some pain. It They ordered 17 tests. 17 tests.
Wow.
17 tests. Yep.
Well, that's...
They ran up the bill, so you don't have to worry about the legal part of it.
Well, I know, and that's one of the problems. You know, it's a complex thing where healthcare institutions and private providers are also running scared because we have a system. This is a litigious society, so everybody at every step of the way, especially in the medical profession, is afraid if they don't follow every possible procedure and recommend every possible test that somewhere in the coming months or years they're going to face major litigation. And even if someone is unsuccessful in taking a doctor or a healthcare institution to court, it still costs money for them to defend themselves.
Of course, and that cost is just added on to all of us.
Well, and that's exactly. Well, and that's exactly right. That's why everything costs so much. You know, we're to a large extent we are our own worst enemy.
We are
because we contribute.
We contribute. Insurance? Have you looked at your when we?
Yeah, don't get me started. Do not.
No, I'm sorry.
But you're right. Well, property insurance, car insurance, everything.
Yep.
Insurance is out of control with the costs.
Our mortgage payment included, the debt total was $725. I'm now almost $1,200, and most of it is the insurance and taxes.
I know.
Doesn't sound like a lot, but if it goes up 1 or 2% a year, we've been in a house now for 20 years. That's a 40% increase.
I know. Sad but true. But thank you, and wish you the best.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's 9:57. WNBF forecast today, cloudy, high 58. Tonight, rain, low 37. Rain tonight between 1/2 and 3/4 of an inch. Tomorrow, more rain between 1/4 and 1/2 of an inch in the Binghamton area with a high of 42. And good news on Friday, rain possibly mixed with snow showers, a high 40. And right now, in downtown Binghamton, it's 49. That's 9 Celsius. At America's most wonderful radio station, with the most wonderful host, Bob Joseph, live on WNBF. Here we are, flying off to another big hour of broadcasting information on your information station with Binghamton Now. We welcome back to the program Broome County Aviation Commissioner Mark Kiefner. Good morning.
Good morning, Bob. What's going on, man?
Should be asking you, since you oversee the airport, what's up?
Well, the airport is doing great right now. Amazing weather we're having. And you know me, Bob. I can't come on here without shouting out the most beautiful woman in Broome County. I'm sure she's listening, but hi, sweetheart. I love you. Thank you for taking care of our crazy kids.
Including your young son, who will be turning 4 months old.
4 months in a couple of days. Yeah, dude. The Hiefner household is always crazy, and we're such a blessing. So
it's part of the growth strategy.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Bigger and better.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do at the airport too, man. That terminal project's really coming along, and it's been an interesting march forward. Because, you're keeping the airport open, continuously allowing flights come in and out, and people are traveling through the airport. And we're doing, a huge renovation project, multi-million-dollar project in the meantime around all of the continuously working facilities. So it's a really amazing feat.
Well, let's dive right into the terminal project. When did it officially get underway?
So we started construction September of 23. That's when we actually started the construction, started working on some of the things. So we've been moving along since then. And it's really kind of cool because we have workers. I stopped and talked to some of the gentlemen that were working on manhole, shoring up some of the stuff with the manholes right in front of the terminal today. And guy was from Athens, Pennsylvania. Another one was from Whitney Point, and the third one, and I'm sorry, sir, if you're listening, I cannot remember, but it was, I want to say want to say Windsor, but I'm not 100% sure. And it's really cool because, we have anywhere from 65 to 85 workers each day because of this project. And talking to Welliver Construction, they're telling me that most of the workforce is local. Almost all the workforce is local. So it's so cool to see us compete on a state and national scale to get funding for this and then bring it to the workers that are here in Broome County. So, they've been working here since September of 23, so over a year, and the money's staying here. So it's so cool. That makes me so happy.
So it's been a while since I've actually been at the airport. You gave me a pretty complete tour over the summer, and I was just so impressed by seeing stuff that the public could see and then some of the stuff going on behind the scenes. Yeah. So give me a sense of what the transformation has been like, because one of the biggest things that people noticed earlier this year was the removal of the canopy that was it was basically symbolic or every time you would think of our airport going back to, I'll say, the early days of Broome County Airport and Edwin A. Link Field and the various incarnations, you always saw that and anytime you would close your eyes, that's like, oh yeah.
Oh, well,
Broome County Airport.
You're right. The canopies, the front canopy there, that was demolished this past summer. The new one's up. We're just about finished with the paving. Just got, those little areas that you fill in around the curbs and stuff like that, just kind of make sure everything's tamped in. But the new canopy's up. We should be opening the drive lane through that, I think by the end of this year. And it's even more impressive, so it's one of those things you want to make a good impression as you're coming up the hill there. And as soon as you round that corner going up on Airport Road, you can see that canopy. You can see the nice big BGM letters on our tower. It's gorgeous, and it's really kind of a testament to the workforce that's up there. It's pretty incredible. And then the other really impressive part is our departure lounge. Glass is set, the roof is set, the glass is set. They're inside. We actually were meeting with LaChase Construction yesterday, McFarland Johnson, and some of the contractors about the departure lounge, and I posted a picture on our Instagram yesterday of the different floor heights, and it doesn't sound like, well, that's impressive, but looking at it, there's like a 24-inch difference between the floor heights that we're trying to marry. And I think that's one of those things that throughout the project is you're working with existing and you're working with new and you're trying to make everything work together as a jigsaw. So, I got to get you to come back up so we can have another tour, because the departure lounge is really coming along. We got new jet bridges in. It's really impressive. So
are you facing any unexpected challenges, though, with the departure lounge as far as the structural situation? Nothing insane. Nothing that's going to make you go, whoa, that's a problem, because we did a really good job in the beginning of the project remediating any hazards or anything like that could have been there. The building was built in the late 50s. So, you're going to have some of that old stuff that they used in the 50s construction. So we remediated most of that stuff. We found a couple of structural things that we've come along, but LaChase and McFarland Johnson and our architect, Fennett McCready, they're all doing a good job working together to find solutions and pushing it forward. So, it's really kind of cool seeing that collaborative effort happen. And they're marching right along. We're on track for full opening in spring of 25, and it's really impressive. Are there any sections that seem to be sinking? No, nothing's sinking. Because when I think of, because I know every project, whether it was DOT, they tried to build a bridge over Shenango Street, and what they found out after a few years, there were structural issues and it kept sinking. And they had some kind of clever name for it instead of coming right out and saying, it's sinking too fast. No, the airport's not doing that. We're on bedrock up there. It's funny, when we put in one of our ramps, the west ramp actually, they had to blast through the bedrock to get the depth that they needed. So no, I don't think anything is going to sink on top of that hill. It's we're moving really quickly. And so what kind of specific issues, though, at that departure terminal have to be addressed going forward in the coming weeks? It's just making sure we maintain our schedule, I think, is the biggest issue. Is keeping everybody on task and working together, because when you have
a dozen different trades working together, a dozen different companies working together all at once. There's got to be really, really sound coordination. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge just now and continuing to move forward. You got the steel company coming in and setting steel while the drywallers and the painters are working on their stuff, and then you got plumbers and electrical. I mean, it's really impressive. The Departure Lounge, I think, fingers crossed, I think it'll be completed in January for full use. Which is really great. Then we'll just kind of shift over to phase 3/4 and working on the TSA checkpoint, getting some new TSA equipment in there, so some of that state-of-art equipment for TSA, and just continue to push it forward. I think what's cool is we're working in the whole project has 5 total phases, and we've been working in phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4 this entire time. Like each one, we get a little bit of movement on one, then we shift over, just because we're open the entire time. So they're doing a really good job, and it's impressive. The state is heavily involved. County Executive Jason Garner is kind of the engine behind the whole thing, making sure that we stay on task and we have a really good product for our community, because it's really going to be a beautiful return on investment. And
the new ticket counters will be ready for use fairly soon?
Yeah, new ticket counters, I think, are going to be in December. Yep. New ticket counters are going to be opening in December. So you'll see Delta kind of make a small shift, but they're relatively the same spot. And then that'll allow us to move into phase 3 and phase 4 in those areas. So, it's just shifting everything just a couple of feet this way, that way, and making sure everything continues to stay open. I think the rental car, the new rental car location, which is, a shift across the hallway, if you will, that'll actually hopefully be ready here in the next 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
What are some of the logistical challenges? I think I went up there in April when the front portion, the demolition was underway, and then I think I was up in, may have been late June. It was, I think, a little over a month before the air show, and when you gave me a tour and the air show, I have to say I enjoyed both days of that. I'm just thinking, logistically, trying to do all this stuff and keeping the airport open for people so the public and people who work there can be safe. Mm-hmm. At the same time, logistically, it seems challenging. Have there been any unexpected developments with respect to the logistics of this?
No, I don't think so. I think one of our biggest challenges is we do so many people come in and out of our terminal for car rentals throughout the entire day. Signage, I think, is probably our biggest hurdle, if you will. And if that's our biggest hurdle, it makes me smile, because we always maintain 2 entrances open for the public in the terminal at all times. So making sure that they know which entrance is open and how to get to it can be a little bit of a challenge, because there's a lot of chain link up there, but once we get the drive canopy opened, that'll alleviate itself. But logistically, we did a good job of working with the contractors to kind of change the driving pattern so that we keep the passengers and customers in the terminal away from the construction activities themselves. Done a very good job of maintenance protection of traffic up there as well. So, trying to ensure that the experience, while it's an active construction zone, is still one befitting of a airport experience. So I think there haven't been too terribly many things that have been insurmountable or make me kind of pull my hair out. I still have a full head of hair at this point in time. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with everybody and how they're working together.
Talking with Mark Kiefner, the Broome County Aviation Commissioner, on this Wednesday morning at WNBF. A lot of people are asking about Delta scheduling.
Yeah,
what
man.
is going on? And so when is this change, the change of the daily scheduled flight for Delta? When does that take effect? Has it taken effect?
It has. So we've got a midday turn, is what it's termed in the industry. Midday turn allows the passengers. The plane comes into BGM. Or I don't know. Depending on the day. It can be anywhere from noon to 1 o'clock. Lands picks passengers up, takes them to Detroit, and meshes really well with Detroit's hubs for both European markets and Asian markets, as well as obviously domestic markets. Detroit, I hear people kind of that don't utilize Detroit, and they go, I don't want to fly to Detroit, and I always scratch my head, Bob, because Detroit's one of the best hubs in the nation. It's almost always on time, and it runs like a Swiss watch. And Delta places a huge emphasis on it. I mean, I think it's the second or third biggest Delta hub in the nation. Obviously everyone knows Atlanta's the biggest, but the Detroit's right there, and they just do such a good job. We're really fortunate to have that. I believe working with Delta, actually was talking to them yesterday, their planning team, and we're talking about getting that second flight returned, that second frequency returned in the spring, so that we can have that morning launch flight and then continue to have that midday turn in there as well. So we're working through that. Wintertime's kind of a little more difficult travel time outside of the holidays because no one really wants to travel in the winter. October, November, December, January, February, that's when it slows down industry-wide. So, we're working with Delta and trying to make sure that we can bring additional service here in the spring.
I've heard from people they're disappointed, though, about just the change, and somebody had a flight scheduled for January, and so now they have to make adjustments in their plans. They're worried about their connections because they're going to be tighter at Detroit. So these changes, especially for people who are less frequent travelers, are sometimes causing concern, and sometimes people are like, I don't know what's going on there, and find out.
Honestly, to be perfectly honest, whoever said that they were disappointed, I'm disappointed too, because I want more flights for our area, and that's one thing we're constantly working with. We're talking to Delta, and we're trying to work with them on pricing. That's the other thing. I'm disappointed in pricing, I hear. I'm like, yeah, me too. You're not alone. I'm frustrated by it sometimes too. We don't have as many seats. And as the seats get booked, the price goes up. So we don't have as many available seats as your Syracuse, as your JFK, as those different areas. So that's why our prices tend to run a little bit higher, because the cheap seats get booked a lot faster. So, the flight schedule is definitely something we're always working with Delta. We're also looking at other airlines, trying to bring them in. I think, in 25 you'll see a decent growth from the industry overall. The industry's still kind of recovering from all of the fallout from COVID. I mean, I know you mentioned earlier, Spirit filed for bankruptcy. Spirit Airlines filed for bankruptcy yesterday. So there's going to be kind of a shakeup with pilots and planes there. So there's always opportunities and changes, but I think the industry overall we're going to see some growth in 25, and I am working my can off to make sure that BGM's part of that.
And I know you called to my attention, you were at a recent conference, and you had conversations with representatives from a half dozen airlines, and trying to figure out, of the airlines that are receptive and willing to talk, which airlines might make the most sense for the Binghamton market.
Yeah, so what's funny is, I talk to people and I'm like, hey, I talked to these airlines and I got FaceTime. That is like one of the most important things about working with an airline is when you get FaceTime with the actual planners. And I have to put it in perspective, BGM, Binghamton, is competing with Phoenix, Arizona, with LAX, with, name the city that's way bigger than us. We're competing for that same FaceTime with those airlines. So, anytime we get that FaceTime is impressive. And yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I had 6 meetings with 6 different airlines, and some of the destinations we're kicking around here, just daily service is one of our focuses to the Washington D.C. area. JFK is another one that we brought up with an airline, and then also Philadelphia, kind of restoring some of that service we had in the 2010s, seeing if we can get back to that. At least daily frequencies of some of those. And we also talked to an airline, actually multiple airlines, about service to our sunny Florida and those warm vacation destinations that in the winter we just crave to go to. So, it's one of those things, it's a long play. The airplanes cost millions of dollars, and they're not just going to take an asset and stick it somewhere where it's not going to make money. I mean, operating costs for a Boeing 737-800 is about $8,000 an hour, Bob. An hour. So they got to cover those costs, and no matter where you're going, it's going to be at least an hour of flight time plus, however long on the ground. So they're big numbers. But BGM is again situated in really well because people do want to fly. We have the data that shows that. We've done leakage studies. We've done really good market research, and we're trying. We don't have a lot of cards to play when comparing even to like Syracuse. Bigger markets have more resources. So we're out there, we're pushing, we're trying, and I truly think we're going to have some growth in 2025.
What's the status of the Customs and Border Protection at Binghamton Airport? What's
CBP is still operating. They're going to continue to operate into 2025 out of BGM.
What about beyond 2025? Is it likely that they would?
Yeah, it's likely that they're going to be leaving. BGM is a user fee facility, much like Ithaca. And others around the nation. Morristown, New Jersey is another user fee facility. Republic Airport's a user fee facility. What's that mean, you might want to ask? Well, I'll tell you. User fee facility is one of 3 customs facility classifications. A user fee facility means the cost is borne by the airport. It is a service that they pay to have. Whereas your airports like JFK, they're a port of entry. So CBP, Customs Border Protection, pays for that through their own budget. So, user fee facilities are a little bit harder to maintain, and those costs are generally passed on to the users themselves. So, plane A flies in from, Jamaica, and they need to clear customs. They can at BGM, but they're going to pay for it. Whereas if they fly in, to one of the port of entries, the cost is much lower. So, it's just one of those things. It's a balance that we have. What I'm very grateful for is the administration, now and before us didn't put the word international in our title. So Greater Binghamton Airport is what we are. Some airports around our area and across the nation, they get user fee facility customs, and they put international in their airport in their name. And then when they lose it, they have to take international out of their name. So it's just one of those things that I kind of smile and I'm like, that was some really good foresight from, administrations, county executives and administrations before me, because I'm really thrilled because if that ever changes, we don't have to change our name.
It's 10:30 at WNBF Binghamton. I'm Bob Joseph. You're listening to Binghamton Now. We're talking with the guy who runs the airport, high atop beautiful Mount Ettrick.
Yeah, man.
BGM Airport. So changes were recently made regarding the fixed base operator at the airport.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened.
So, we were the county was working to work with the fixed base operator to create a county-owned one, just because, efficiency of operations for our team, ability to provide a really good product for the customers. And the former FBO, they approached us and said, hey, would you like to buy us? And we said, yeah, absolutely. So we purchased their company and some of their assets, and we've been operating the FBO since July 1st, right before the air show. Not without the challenges and not without bumps in the road, but it's been a very good thing. Our team is so dedicated. I can't say enough about the FBO manager we have, Kyle Inson, and the deputy airport commissioner, Peter LaPiccolo. Those two, they work their cans off to provide a product for both our airlines and general aviation customers that is top notch. Like I said, we've got some hurdles, but we're doing everything we can to make sure that we're providing a product for the users of the airport that is, one of the best you'll ever get.
So. What are the biggest challenges then that are being faced? The hurdles so far, and maybe some things that still need to be overcome.
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges is that some of the equipment we got with a purchase wasn't up to standard. So we just try to make sure it gets up to standard. Training is another one. It's not like pumping fuel into your car. It's making sure that all the checks are done correctly, making sure that the fuel is safe and gets to where it needs to go in the correct aircraft. It's nuanced, but it's certainly not something that our team can't handle. It's just having people trained and ready to roll to do it. We've had a great response from the users in that because we're a 24/7 operation. we're there all the time. So if a plane shows up at 2 a.m., we have people there that can catch the plane and at least help them get services in a timely manner. One of the really cool things that we've had right around some of the hurricanes, we received several planes full of dogs and cats. That come up, and it always puts a smile on my face because, like, that's such a fun thing to do. It's you work with these people, and they're like so grateful. They're thankful because our team is attentive. You know, if we need to staff up for multiple flights, we bring extra staff in, or we bring it in from a different division that we have at the airport. So, really, an efficiency of operations, and it's really encouraging to see how it's all starting to click together for our team. We've such a dedicated team up there that they do an amazing job.
Is the county still facing litigation, though, because the first FBO change was...
Nope. That was taken care of with the purchase.
It's been resolved?
Yeah, we resolved everything. They did a good job, and it was a good move for both parties. As a taxpayer myself, I would look at it and go, yeah, that makes perfect sense, and it does... puts the county in the driver's seat, puts us, the airport, in the driver's seat in so many other ways for opportunities with air service, with opportunities with bringing additional jets to base at Binghamton. We've actually started marketing our open spaces a lot, in my opinion, better and differently, and we've had a tremendous response already. We're expecting to have a couple new aircraft based out of BGM in 2025, so it's really impressive. I know you and I had talked about economic impact of airports, and a new jet, just a jet, based at an airport can bring up to $2.5 million annual economic impact just by having that one plane there. So it's one thing that we are, really pushing for, and are going to continue to try to bring companies from all over the nation in to be at BGM. We're talking to companies in Nebraska right now. They're like, we'd love to be on the East Coast. So let's go.
Do people in Broome County have a good appreciation for the overall airport economic impact, what BGM ultimately means for the region's economy?
Bob, you know the answer to that.
Well, I know because you've talked about it before on the program, and I know it's something that you've been working not just through this appearance, but
you're right.
Just in general to let people know, because you're out in the community as much as I am, so sometimes I know you hear the questions, well, why do we still need an airport? Why don't we just have one giant regional airport and have it at Elmira or Ithaca or whatever? So, and I know that you continue to try to get people to better appreciate that there is a reason why millions and millions of dollars continue to be spent upgrading the airport in the town of Maine.
Well, I mean, you know, Bob, that's one of those things that I will lose my hair over one of these days. It's educating people. I think the state just released their airport economic impacts study that they did. They studied 2019, then 2020. Right, COVID, and they studied kind of the recovery of 2022, and they just released that 2 months ago, I think it was, and it's some amazing information in that I love telling people about. So if you're listening, turn up your dial here, because I'm going to hit you with some really cool impacts of our airport, of BGM alone. And this is on the state's website, so you can go to the state DOT and fact check me if you'd like. But our direct impacts from our airport-related employment, 213 jobs, because our airport's there. So, when somebody says, why don't we get rid of this airport? I'm like, do you want to get rid of 213 jobs that are pouring money both in payroll and expenditures back into our community? Our impacts, our induced impacts, $17 million because the airport's there every year. And that's 2022 numbers. I look at it and people say, well, we're putting money in from the state and local taxes. Well, yeah, you're right. There is some going in there. $3 million was the amount in 2022. But the total impact that $3 million had was $57 million for our area. $57 million. I'm not an economist, but I would 100% put $3 million down to get $57 million back. And I mean, there's jobs that are working there. I talked about the terminal project, how there's between 65 and 85 local workers there at the airport every single day because of this project, because the money is coming from the state and federals. It's not, the majority of the money is state and federal. So it would have gone anywhere else in the country or anywhere else in the state. I'd rather us have it than, no offense, Albany, or no offense, anywhere downstate. I want the money here in BGM. So our airport is such an economic driver. It's more than just commercial flights. It's more than just general aviation. There's jobs, there's people, there's real lives that are connected to this airport, real livelihoods. So that's that. You know me. I'm always saying that. I'm always pushing that out there. So if you're listening and you haven't used the airport, just take a look. That's what I always say.
It's 10:38 WNBF. Here's something that you're not in charge of, but it is happening on airport property, and some people in recent weeks have said, Bob, what's going on there near the airport? It's out at the south end. I can see something. They're doing something off Commercial Drive, and we actually first reported on this more than 2 years ago that a solar array, a project would be built there on, I think it's about 30 acres at the south end of the airport property. So that project has been under construction now for the last few months. Tell us a little bit about what's going on, and in case people are up in that area and they say, I don't get it. Those things, those bases or whatever, look different to me than other solar projects I've seen. What's happening there?
Well, you pointed it out. I mean, that's a very astute thing to say, that the basis for those solar arrays, call me a novice, but when you pointed that out, I definitely did a little more research. And the bases that they have, what they're going to be utilizing, they help this solar panel itself track the sun. So as the sun moves across the sky, the panel follows it. So it gives maximum exposure the entire time, which is a really neat thing. And talking to the solar company a little bit, I never understood, hey, the project starts and then like 4 or 5 years later it actually gets finished, because of all the environmental, because of all the, getting the technology and everything set up. It's a process, but they're marching forward. And for those of you that are on drive past Commercial Drive, if the airport's on your left, so is a solar farm. So it's a good use of this space. You've noted before, it's well below the runway grade, and to bring that up to grade would be millions and millions of dollars, which, I mean, you don't want to do that. And it's on a hill. It's kind of hilly. It's in a valley. The terrain's difficult. Perfect for solar. Perfect, especially the ones that track the sun, because then they can put it on the side of the hill and it'll continuously operate throughout the day. So it's a good use, and it's nice to see us finally developing it. That hasn't been developed in the history of the airport. So we're making strides in the right direction.
Is there, I can't remember the technical name. I always call it that thing at the end of the runway in case you're not able to stop your aircraft in
EMAS,
time. Tell us
Material
about that.
System.
Is a new EMAS system being put into place?
Bob, you blink and it's already in.
It's been done?
Yeah, man. So in addition to, over $50 million for the terminal, we also this summer did it was approximately $13 million project, federally and state funded, for the Engineered Material Resting System. People are like, what is that? We call it EMAS. And it's basically a runaway truck ramp that'll stop an airplane in under 100 feet. It's incredible technology. And we had one of the first 6 in the nation, and we just got it replaced. So brand new system in, and they did it in a month. It was so fast. Actually, Boland's Construction, for those of you that know Boland's, they were the ones that were doing the majority of the lion's share of the work there. So they do an amazing job, and it was a quick project. And we're very, very impressed. So yeah, we're on top of the hill, but we can get you stopped. And that's the important thing, safely. So that's been replaced, and we're very fortunate to have that, because not every airport gets that.
Let's talk about one part of the airport, a critical part. And it used to be called Crash Fire Rescue. It now has a new name. I mean, it's been rebranded. But the bottom line is, it's an emergency response team. So if there's an alert, and people familiar with aviation, whether you're talking about private aviation or commercial or military, hey, things can and do happen with equipment, sometimes even with pilots. There could be health issues or whatever. So sometimes alerts are declared, and steps have to be taken,
Yeah.
proper response not only for the team at the airport, but sometimes the other emergency agencies that are part of the emergency response. But I think it's appropriate to really acknowledge the work that the emergency personnel at the airport, they're there all the time and ready to spring into action at a moment's notice.
Yeah, some of that 24/7 that we alluded to earlier, and that cross-training as well. So under my tenure, we've really tried to cross-train our employees so that they can wear multiple hats and when called upon can assist. Most of our team is air rescue firefighter trained. So, if there's an alert, they're getting to the truck, they're getting their gear on, they're ready to help. I have another select few that are EMR trained, emergency medical response trained. So they can help with almost any emergency, a medical emergency there at the airport. David Hill is the supervisor for the operations team that is generally thought of as the core that oversees that, and he does a great job. He's got a really good team, but we're always there, we're always ready. If somebody has, recently we had somebody that had got off the plane, they had chest pains. Our team was right there. It's not, hey, let's make a call and hopefully, the staff shows up here in the next 5-10 minutes. No, we're there. We're ready to help. So whether it's on the plane, an actual aircraft, or a passenger or somebody at the airport, we're able to help. We're able to assist, and it's really impressive because when they're not doing those things, our maintenance team is out fixing lights on the runway. Some of the thousands of lights that we have and the miles and miles of pavement, they're out there doing that, and they're doing an amazing job. They're painting, they're doing, all the things that keep 1,100-acre facility. And our operations team's out there making sure everything's safe. And, I shipped over to our FBO team. They're doing the same thing too. But when called upon, everyone's like, let's go help, which is a testament to our entire team.
And as people perhaps recall, every so often there is a drill. Earlier this year, last spring, there was a drill to make sure that all the agencies have a sense of what their specific responsibilities are for emergency situations at BGM Airport.
That's I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't think people realize how fortunate we are in the area to have the volunteers that we have that show up and that come out. So if you're listening and you're a volunteer, medical or fire or any of those, thank you so much, because the airport could not operate as efficiently as we do without your help. Our team from a main emergency squad, they did an amazing job. You saw through the air show, and our OES team here in Broome County Office of Emergency Services, the coordination that happens, it's incredible. And then we have, you throw your law enforcement in there as well with Broome Security, the sheriff, and then all of our kind of a local agencies as well. Everyone kind of comes together, and it's really absolutely impressive. Not a lot of counties have this. Talking to other airport directors, I say, hey, we have an emergency drill, and we've got 15 agencies that show up, and they're like, you have that many that actually show up and want to help and that are there. I'm like, yeah, our community is a lot more tight knit than we give it credit for, and it's really incredible to see that. So again, if you're a volunteer out there or you're in law enforcement, thanks guys, you and girls, you're amazing. We really appreciate you.
Doesn't seem that it's really been 4.5 months since the air show,
right? You blink and time flies fast. So that was an amazing feat. And I had somebody call me the other day and say, "Hey, when's the next one?" I said, let's give us time to finish this terminal project first before we start diving into the next air show or the next big thing.
So, just to go on the record, don't expect an air show in 2025.
I would not expect one in 2025. It's a huge undertaking. It takes so much time. My deputy and I think the week of the air show, so June 30th through July 10th, between him and I, we each put in 70 or 80 hours. Just because we were at the airport constantly for that. And, our team, very similar to that. The dedication we have on our team is amazing, but it also takes away from our normal duties. So, we're very fortunate to have such a dedicated team. And but air shows are a huge lift. They are a huge lift.
And it gets a lot of people up to the airport. People who otherwise haven't seen the airport perhaps in several years, or in some cases have never seen the BGM airport.
You know what? You're right there. It's nice to be able to get people to the airport, but it's also really cool that we have other events. You know, one of my absolute favorite ones is Halloween at the airport. We do trick-or-treating for, generally it's the littles, during the day. And I always get people on our Facebook that are you know, keyboard warriors saying, my 14-year-old kid can't come because they're in school. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's for the littles because it's inside. It's in a controlled environment, and it helps you as a parent if you have younger kids. Bring the younger kids up, you know, and it's warm and it's safe, you know. So I love that event. You know, this past year we had over 75 kids in a 2-hour time span. And, you know, just seeing their smiles and everything. And we had 10 other groups from Brigham County and our tenants joined us to hand out candy to those kids. So, you know, it was a really cool event. But we also had the Runway 5K this past year. That was like 300 plus people that showed up for that and did the Runway 5K. And we do it differently. You know, we do it in the evening so that the sun sets as you're running, and we got the best sunsets in Broome County at the airport, and we get to highlight that through that. So, you know, the airport gets used in other ways other than just air shows. So, you know, it's fun when we have these events, and they're a little bit less stressful.
Quite a bit. Broome County Aviation Commissioner Mark Kiefner, thanks for joining us. We'll look forward to your next visit.
All right, Bob. Thank you so much.
1049 WNBF, WNBF.com. In Binghamton now, we will be providing food service momentarily. Would you like a steak? Or would you prefer lobster? Or would you like a half-pounder with triple onions? WNBF.com is a wonderful place to look for local news, some original reporting. Take a look, see what we have for you. WNBF.com. If there is stuff going on around Binghamton and vicinity, we have some of the most interesting coverage, including more details about the future of the Enjoy Golf Club and the Dick's Sporting Goods Open Tournament. The irrigation system needs attention at Enjoy. Take a look at our story and other items at WNBF.com, your source for Binghamton area news. Binghamton Now weather, in a word, quite nice today, although it'll be cloudy, still mild for this time of November, high 58. Tonight, rain, low 37. 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of rain tonight, another 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of rain tomorrow. High tonight will be, low tonight 37, high tomorrow 42. Right now in downtown Binghamton, it's 51. That's 11 Celsius. At WNBF, next hour we'll be taking more of your phone calls. So if you have things that need to be discussed, good news, because we happen to have phone lines that have been carefully installed to provide maximum enjoyment. So you'll enjoy the Binghamton Now experience when you call next hour. It's 10:58 WNBF. Alrighty. Good morning, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Selena from Binghamton.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Great.
I love your show. I'm sorry to switch gears here. I'd like to throw some earth science out to you.
I think that's a good idea. I was hoping that somebody would call in and shift over to earth science, if only for a moment.
There is an event in the South Pacific called La Nina. Okay, it's going to break the weather machine. The Northwest and the Northeast, we're going to have so much water we won't even know what to do with it.
Oh, no. So that means, does it mean flooding?
Flash flooding in northern New York, but the rivers are going to go up big time.
Oh, my goodness. All right.
All the rain we were deprived of.
Well, see, that's what I expected. I told people over the last few months, enjoy it while you can, because in the end, these things always average out.
They always backlash.
Yep. So, okay.
When the extremely cold air from Canada clashes with our air, it's going to rain like you know.
Oh, my gosh. All right. All right. Well, thank you. I'll make sure to leave my umbrella in the car like always.
Okay, I love you, Bob. I love your show.
Have a great day.
Hey, you too.
11:19 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, my name is Ron, calling from Binghamton, New York, or Binghamton, New York.
Good morning. One of the most affordable Hamptons.
Yes. Yeah, I know what you were doing between 11 and 11:15.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay.
You were drinking a Moxie and having a donut, and that's why we had all those public services.
I had a Vegemite sandwich.
Oh, a Vegemite sandwich.
Vegemite was sticking to the roof of my mouth, and so I had to wash it down with a Diet Moxie.
Yeah, well, I didn't know they make Diet Moxie.
They do. It's not especially popular. One thing I would say about Diet Moxie, though, because I tried it once out of curiosity, it's one of the few diet sodas that really approximates the regular version. So, for those who opt for diet for whatever reasons, whether it's just dietary issues or personal preference, Diet Moxie is not half bad.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, what I do, because I like the regular Moxie, but I am concerned about, gaining weight. So when I have a regular Moxie, I inject myself with Ozempic.
Well, you're paying close attention to all the TV commercials during the 6:30 evening newscasts.
Yeah. Hey, I listened to your interview with the Commissioner of Aviation. I enjoyed that, and I had a thought. Do you know how many times do planes crash?
Not very many.
Just
once. Well, no, that's not technically correct, because some planes can crash more than once. It all depends if it's. Most crashes are usually written off as a full loss, but there have been planes that have been able to crash more than once. I mean, not every crash leads to a write-off. So in some cases, I'm sure there have been select planes that have been able to crash 2 or 3 times before finally they're getting written off.
You're reminding me, do you remember a comedian by the name of Robin Williams?
Yeah, I remember him. He was the first Letterman show Letterman taping that I ever went to at 30 Rock, NBC, Studio 6A. Robin Williams was the main guest. He was a laugh riot.
Yeah, I bet. Well, he made a movie. It was his first movie, The World According to Garp. Did you see that movie?
No. I'm familiar with it. I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Well, there's a funny scene, pertinent to our joke about how many times planes crash. He was looking at a house to buy. A realtor had himself and his wife looking at a nice suburban house. And while they were looking at the house, they hear this buzzing one-engine plane sputtering and coming toward the house, and it crashed right into the house. And fortunately, the pilot was not killed. He got out of the plane and jumped down. And immediately when that happened, Robin Williams turned to his wife and the realtor and said, "We'll take it." And they look at him like, "What are you, crazy?" And he says, "Do you know what the chances are of another plane ever crashing into this house? I mean, it's astronomical. So let's take this house."
Well, there you go. I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It was his first movie, I believe. Hey, the reason I called, and I hope you don't cut me off because, here's Ron again with updates on CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And really, the reason is the NFL. I admit I watch the Buffalo Bills and I watch pro football. The people that play are, adults, and if they want to play and bang their heads, fine by them. But during the NFL games, I don't know if you've noticed, they're showing helmets, and they've got 4 or 5 helmets. They look like they come from almost Star Wars. They're the latest, and the NFL is promoting, look at what we're doing. We're doing this research on helmets to prevent concussions and make football safer. And as a matter of fact, the helmets, which are supposedly going to make football safer, are, according to the people out at Stanford University, reported in the New York Times recently, they will probably just be more dangerous because the idea that you can make a helmet to prevent CTE is faulty. I'm quoting from the New York Times. This is a couple of years ago, and they say, according to the leader of this Stanford University team of bioengineers, he says, after years of research, only a few scientists believe they can still make such a helmet. Many who study this field say a more sophisticated helmet may even prove more dangerous. So I'm just going to say one more time that a helmet protects the skull. It does not protect the brain, because no matter what you're wearing, if you hit your head, the brain moves inside the skull from side to side, from back to front, and is injured. So, but the NFL, I mean, they're just amazing. They know now that fewer and fewer kids are being allowed to play football by their parents, and they've got to do something about that. So one of the things they're doing is, and these commercials are meant not for football players in the NFL, but they're meant for parents of young kids to show, see, it's safe to hit your head. We've got these fancy helmets, and it's safe to hit your head. It's not. CTE happening more and more. Lately, I'm seeing a lot of players being taken off the field with concussions. I don't know if you've been watching much football, but not safe to hit your head. Don't let kids under 12 play football.
All right. Well, if I had a kid under the age of 21, she wouldn't be playing football. There's no way would any kid of mine be playing football, professional or recreational. But because I don't want people to be hurt, but I'm in the minority. Most people listening are saying, Bob, I think kids as young as 6 months old should be playing football. Get them out there and dress them up in a Bills uniform. Go Bills.
Go Bills. Yeah.
I can't help it. I spent some time last night with Bills fans, and don't get me wrong, I love them, but they certainly, well, I guess you could say they're not just fans, they're fanatics, which is why the NFL corporation is so powerful. There is no force in the United States that has more power, more sway than the NFL corporation. So,
yeah.
So they're, I mean, you don't have to like them, but you do have to respect what they've created because they're unstoppable. They're incorrigible. They are the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, what other corporation could call up the military and say, give me a couple of your most expensive, no, give me 3 or 4 of your most expensive aircraft to fly over one of our TV productions. No other corporation in the country can call up the military and say, why don't you spend tens of thousands of dollars on some sort of 30-second display so people can feel good about themselves. Only the NFL has that capability.
Yeah, and Bob, I wonder if that new guy who's going to be president, what his stand on something like that will be, protecting kids from CTE.
That's actually a good point. That, we know his stance on so many other issues, but this, in my opinion, this is a very important public health issue. So not only would I ask the former guy and now the future guy, but I would also ask RFK Jr., because this is an important public health issue. We know where RFK Jr. stands on things like fluoride and vaccinations. I don't know that we know anything where he stands on CTE and protecting young people from very serious head injuries.
Yes, and RFK is from New England, Boston area. That is where the research, the leading research is being done on CTE. And so, we might find... well, I don't know. He's too tied to the billionaires, but maybe not.
Maybe not, because RFK Jr. sometimes has shown a propensity for independent thinking. I mean, I'm concerned about his thoughts on some public health issues, but I'm also intrigued by a person who's potentially going to be in a position of authority wanting Americans to eat fewer processed foods. I mean, who could be against that? I'm for it.
Absolutely.
So who's to say? RFK Jr. may, in fact, do some good. Thank you, Ron. It's 11:31. We live in exciting times, and this is your exciting radio station to cover them. Hi, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Jesse from Owego, Bob.
Hey, what's up?
I had to go through what's left of my brain cells, and I do remember it. Hopefully Gary from the West Side is listening. Fluoride is actually called hydrofluorosilicic acid. Now, it's an acid, so now you know why they got to wear them clothes when they have to take out them 50-gallon drums and get ready to inject it in the water.
So it's really interesting. I'm not going to get into it now, but the history of water fluoridation in this country is very, very interesting. That's all I'm going to say. People should do some research and find out how it all happened.
Well, I don't know. Well, I can tell you one thing. It didn't help my tooth decay.
Well, and the thing is, people are writing in saying, yeah, well, the American Dental Association supports it. Yeah, so if the American Dental Association said jump off a cliff, would you?
I'm not a follower, Bob.
Well, they can have a position. I'm not saying I'm against their position. I'm saying just because certain organizations have a certain public policy they've had in place for decades doesn't mean it's absolutely right. I'm saying, and I know people would say, but Bob, do you believe so much of what RFK Jr. says? No, there are a lot of things I don't think I believe in. But should questions be answered regarding certain things? Yeah, answer them.
So.
Answer them. Just, oh, no, we're going to shut it down. If you discuss this, you're wacky. No, if you discuss stuff, maybe somebody will learn something.
Well, knowledge is power. You play that one bumper song on rare occasions. What is it? Checking what condition my condition is in?
Yeah.
I think people should think about that more.
Yeah, why not? Why not try to learn more? One of the things that they have done, I think, over the last several years is generally reduce the amount of fluoride that's being added in water. So it's, somebody wrote, well, it's only 1 part per million fluoride. Well, actually, right now in Binghamton, they reduced it. I think Binghamton now is adding a smaller amount of fluoride right at the moment compared to, say, 5 or 10 years ago. So the question you ask, well, then why did they change that? If it was so good, why not add more?
Well, that's very true. You and Gary were talking. And Gary were talking, and you were bringing up plastics. What about the amount of mercury and other rare metals? Geez, you're right.
But the bottom line, as I told Gary, I said those things are not stuff that they're adding over at the water treatment plant on Broome Street. Those things are in the water whether we like it or not. The fluoride, they're adding constantly to it. So they are doing it deliberately. The other stuff, microplastics and other contaminants that are in our public water supplies, they're there. We should probably work harder. What about the forever chemicals that are in a lot of New York State public water supplies? Why don't they take those out? You don't see them adding them. If anything, in certain parts of the state, millions of dollars are being spent to get them out. So whatever happened to the idea of pure, drinkable water with no additives? What's wrong with water with no additives? And then if you want to better protect your teeth, go to the fluoride hut and get yourself some fluoride.
Well, that's if the insurance covers it. But anyway, as for common sense, if you want real good water, just go buy a house where you got a well. There you go.
Yeah, but now look at what's happening to some people who have wells in Broome and Tioga counties. They're starting to have problems because of the drought.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, you just can't win, Jesse. You just can't win. Yeah. And you know who I blame?
Who?
The media. I blame that talk show host on the radio. I blame him.
So do I.
Thanks. Have a good day. It's that guy's fault. All of the world's problems are that guy's fault. Hi, WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
It's Airport Road Bob. How are you today?
Super.
Listen, I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly or whatever, and Mr. Heebner is one of the most positive, outgoing people in the world with the ray of sunshine, his hope every day in his life. But, one of my favorite shows is Cops, and the biggest line you ever hear is, there's his story, there's my story, and then there's somewhere the truth in between. So, for the record, okay, and Bob, I did my homework because I know you actually make me verify where I get the information from, so I'm all ready for you today on any questions you might have. So, looking at the numbers for the Binghamton Airport, this was printed on October 25th, 2024, that according to the Broome County budget, Broome County Airport will receive approximately $2.8 million in taxpayer support, similar to 2023. The revenue is short of the expenses. That means that every person that flies out, you, me, and everyone else is paying for their flight with taxpayer money. All of the money that they get for these grant programs is taxpayer money. This thing has been losing money for the last 30 years. And yes, you can spin the numbers any way you want, telling people about the jobs. And yes, it's the $43 million they just got in grant money that's paying for all those jobs and all those people working up there. Let's just not spin the facts. Let's tell people the truth and tell them what's really going on in the world. In 2023, Binghamton only had 36,000
they call them emplanements. That means departures. So if you figure that out, we got 360 people a day coming in and out of that airport. We rank 289 out of the 550 commercial airports in the United States. And I don't have this figure, but somebody else can look it up. I will guarantee you they've spent well over $100 million in the last 20 years in grant money from either New York State or the federal government.
So what are you recommending? They shut it down?
It's bad business. Let's figure something out. You got Elmo.
What? Shut it down. So if they shut it down, then what?
Make a corporate park. It's already commercial in the industrial area. They already have sewer and water, and they've already got 900 acres to play with up there. I don't know. You do something with it. I mean, make a mini drone port and start charging people $29.95 to come up and fly their drones. And I mean, I'm sure you get more than 300 people a day.
Yeah, and so you still wind up with a facility that we could probably, I don't know, since it was developed in the 50s, who knows how many hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent for the original construction and then the maintenance and the improvements at the airport. So after all that time and money and effort, you're saying turn it into a corporate park.
Do something with it. Right now it costs, Broome County just approved for their 25 budget, double what they spent last year at the airport. So they must see the writing on the wall. I mean, they've got accountants, they got people that are in business. I'm just looking at it from a business perspective.
But the problem with airports is every community, or virtually every community in the U.S., does not look at their airport strictly from a business standpoint. There are a lot of other factors involved, including civic pride. I mean, the fact that even if most people in the average year, typical year in Broome County, most Broome County residents don't fly into or out of the BGM airport, there still is something that many people perceive as important about having your own airport just for selling the area. So I can't put a price on it. I'm saying there are a lot of other things beyond simply how many people every year are using it. The other thing too, when you talk about transportation, every type of transportation, major transportation in the U.S., including here in Broome County, is subsidized by the government, whether it's your town or city or state. We all use a lot of government money to maintain the highways and all the streets, the infrastructure. And some people say, yeah, well, nearly 100% of the people wind up using those streets, so that part is true. But, the state and federal governments are always going to be making millions of dollars available to small and large communities for airport service. So even if we don't have a Binghamton airport, you and I, through our state and federal dollars, then will be paying to support other airports, whether you know it or not. Well, and Bob, whether you want it or not.
Bob, I'm lucky enough to be old enough to have enjoyed a train ride from Binghamton, New York to New York City when I was a kid. It was an amazing experience as a kid, being 7, 8 years old, going on a train trip and eating out of a box lunch. I was lucky enough to be part of the IBM culture, and, father and son baseball trips were a yearly event with IBM. And we went by train. If we'd spent anywhere near half of this money in train transportation between here in New York City and Syracuse over the last 25, 30 years, we would have gotten much more out of it, more benefits out of it. More people would have used the transportation. I mean, I
agree. I'm with you. But unfortunately, that ship has sailed. And guaranteed, at some point, whether it's coming up in the next couple of days or the next couple of weeks or couple of months, Chuck Schumer will be out with another one of his fabulous news releases talking about another study about restoring passenger rail service to places like Binghamton or other upstate points. It just isn't going to happen. I don't see it ever happening in our lifetime for a number of reasons. Yeah, it's right that since the 60s and early 70s, the state and federal governments really should have been spending a lot of money to not just maintain, but to improve passenger rail service all across the country. Well, GM and other interests, including oil companies, they didn't want that to happen. So big business won that battle. And look at all of the track that's been yanked up here in upstate New York and elsewhere that should have been left in place, but over the last decade or so, hundreds, if not thousands of miles of track were yanked up because of tax issues. And so that track isn't going to replace itself. We can't even afford to take care of the track that has disappeared. So, yeah, as anybody would acknowledge, anybody who's paid attention would acknowledge, mistakes were made, and now we suffer. We suffer. If we want to get to New York, we're going to have to drive.
Well, the good news is we'll have those space cars pretty soon, like the Jetsons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, space cars like the Jetsons starting January 15th, 2026, according to Elon Musk.
I'm sure the prototypes are out there.
Yeah, and now, thanks to Elon Musk being in charge of the federal government, he'll get it done.
Yeah, you're probably right, Bob. Hey, listen, have a great week, boy.
Thank you. Elon Musk in charge of the federal government. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Elon Musk. Have you ever seen that guy? Yikes. I mean, he's a billionaire, so of course I'm his friend, but still. Glad I don't live next door to him. Hi, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
He's my gosh, too. This is DJ, Madison Avenue DJ, a little ways from the airport, Bob, about 3 hours. I'm in a Christ-like state of mind. How you doing, Bobby? What are we talking about today? The airport?
No, we're talking about why they are putting fluoride into your water.
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know if you remember how much younger or older you are than me, but when you go down Main Street, Errol Ford used to be there, speaking of that, and my dad, Jerry the Barber, I sound like I'm not on the same subject, but I am. My dad, Jerry the Barber, bought a 1966 Ford Galaxy with red leather, and the chrome ashtray came out. We thought smoking was so cool back then in the 60s. But anyway, and we would go to the airport, and we'd watch the airplanes come in and then go brush our teeth with the fluoride. So I killed two robins with one stone. I shouldn't say that. My wife's name, Robin. But anyway, yeah. Have you ever gone to the airport and watched the planes take off when you were a child, Bobby?
Sure. Cheap
your
entertainment. That's before cable. We had 3 TV channels, so when there was nothing good on, or when it was just reruns of combat, we went up to the airport to watch the planes. Even now, going up to the airport, even to watch planes or routine operations is better than most of the stuff. I have a cable box that gets about 14 or 15,000 channels. And honestly, you got all those channels and there's nothing on.
I know. Well, here's the question. Were you ever ordered and commanded, as I was, to get up and change one of those 3 channels? I know I used to. We always watched Ed Sullivan and Carol.
No, I wouldn't do it. I would do, as a kid, I would do a lot. I'm not getting up when other able-bodied people are perfectly capable of changing the channel. My philosophy was, because I was usually watching WNBF TV, Channel 12, my philosophy was leave it on WNBF TV. If what's on now isn't very good, stay tuned, because something good is always coming up. And usually it was action news.
See, my sister Dina would tell me, get up and turn the channel. You have a sister. She didn't do that. He's nice.
No, the thing about my family is if somebody wanted the channel changed, they would get off their butt and change it. And I didn't grow up in a household filled with lazy people who thought it was somehow appropriate to order around siblings. It's not done.
Yeah.
It's not done in polite society.
And not necessarily lazy, but they just want to,
Well, yes, they want to exert power. Having siblings, having sisters or a brother, it's not about exercising power. It's about showing the love for your family. Appreciate your call. It's 11:49. This is Bob Joseph on your side. Good memories. Of course, not just Action News, but even before that, Communication Center 12. Now that was a newscast, baby. Communication Center 12. Weeknights at 6 and 11 with Bernie Fianti. WNBF, your favorite radio and TV station. Well, okay, radio station. Remember, it used to be WNBF AM, WNBF FM, and WNBF TV. That's when life was simpler. Carol from Johnson City, you're on the air.
Hi, Bob. This is a subject I've never touched on before, so this is fluoride. My curiosity got the best of me because I remembered, it must be close to 2 years ago, my dentist gave me a prescription because of the amount of fluoride that is in this Colgate toothpaste. It even says, well, a dentist could give out samples, I guess. It's Prevident, and the dent, the D is capital, so, and it says RX only. But I was intrigued as to how much more fluoride there is. 0.24 in my AIM toothpaste, 0.24. And in this Colgate Prevident by prescription only is 1.1%. So I divided the 24 into the 1.1, and it comes out to 4.588888 more, percentage-wise, or what? Not percentage-wise. It's 4.5 times more than what is in normal toothpaste. And I guess I've had this for a while because I had to get my magnifying glass out to look at because it's really rubbed off. It expired just about a year ago, 10/16/23. So I guess I haven't been using it. It's just there to remind me about brushing my teeth. So I just thought that would be of somewhat interest. I was astounded when he gave me a prescription, and I can't remember how much it was, somewhere between $5 and $10 for this darn thing.
Well, there you go.
I know. So,
like they say, to tell the tooth.
Oh, and it also has 5% potassium nitrate. And
sounds good.
I do all my meat shopping or whatever I get because I'm not a big meat eater. Sliced turkey and chicken and ham or whatever is nitrate and nitrite free at Aldi if you search for it.
All right. Appreciate your call. It's 11:53 at WNBF. Add some other chemicals to my water, will you, Stan? Okay, Bob. What would you like added? I don't care. Just a couple of random chemicals. Surprise me. 607-772-1290. Bob Joseph for your health on Binghamton Now. 11:55. Let's go to Tioga County. Joe and Owego. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hi. Yesterday, late in your program, someone came on and suggested keeping score. And if our current president-elect did whatever he did for the next 4 years, we should keep track of it and deal with it. You should take a step backward and find out what constructively you could contribute to the process so we don't wait 4 years and then become super critical. We should all be working together in some direction, but more so we should be informed, and this is what we should be requesting of our newly elected individuals and those who are long-term. What is going on? Where are the tax credits going for home this, home that, how are they affecting local tax revenues for our school districts, our local fire companies, our emergency squads, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We are not being told how much money is being committed to the tax credits and so forth. And we can't wait 4 years and complain about it. Let's get together and force, if we need to, our individuals to provide us with the knowledge of the expenditures of our revenues. Thank you very much. I'll give somebody else an opportunity.
Thank you so much. That is Owego. And Joe, thank you. 11:57 here at your favorite radio station, where we play your favorite callers. Morning, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from? It's the phone company. They wanted to show that there's no way to have a 100% technically perfect show because they control the phones. They're in charge. Remember Lily Tomlin when she ran the phone company back in the, I think it was the late 60s or early 70s. Lily Tomlin was in charge of the phone company, and everybody thought it was funny. At the time, it was kind of funny because the reason you could laugh with Lily Tomlin, who ran the phone company back then, the reason it was funny is because, for the most part, the phones worked. Unlike today, there's nothing funny about our phone system. A system where calls are dropped, where you hear the dial tone when you shouldn't, when you're getting harassed by scammers and schemers. I mean, what happened? What happened to a once proud country at a near perfect phone system? As I've said, if that future guy can fix our phone system, I will be the first to shower him with praise. But you know what? Of all the things he's talked about over the past decade, the one issue he never mentions is our unpredictable and unreliable phone system in the USA. And he won't bring it up because he knows even RFK Jr. can't fix it. It's beyond fixing, sadly. Anyway, that's all the time we have for today, but I'll be back tomorrow right here. I'm Bob Joseph on WNBF.